Love is Blind cast member sues the show claiming contestants were denied food and water.
That's such an exaggeration, though. Like, denied it is more than, like, we just didn't have enough.
So it says Love is Blind contestants were deprived of adequate amounts of food and water and plied with alcohol. The alcohol is way more creepy.
Yeah, that's the point.
That basically the idea here is like prevent them from drinking enough water, prevent them from eating enough food, make them drink more alcohol. Mm-hmm. They'll make more awful decisions.
But look, like this is my take. Before we even explain the situation.
It's my take.
Like that's the point of a reality show, is that you're in a situation that's vastly different from normal life, and you're making decisions under extreme pressure and like weird social circumstances they've like created.
And it's kind of funny. It's like the idea is like an actor would be able to make this work without the alcohol, but because they're not actors, because it's supposed to be reality, but it's not really reality, they have to augment it by using chemicals. And even actors use chemicals. You know, there's plenty of actors who have talked about how they had to use stuff in their day to get where they needed to be during a performance.
I tried it in LA for a while in the 2008-9. I was like, what if I just got stoned before I acted? And I found all my acting was like I couldn't get out of this level. Everything kind of felt like it was at the same monotone. Yeah. It was getting that out of my system is when it starts to get much more variety.
Because the drugs mask it provides a neutral, not neutral, but like a baseline that keeps you there for as long as the chemical's in your system. Therefore, you're not accessing the emotions that the average person would be, especially if you're trying to manufacture a realistic real-world experience.
Yeah, a lot of acting that resonates with people is the stress of acting. Like, people can feel your anxiety, and that's good. Although you might think it's hindering you as an actor, it's actually people are going to be able to resonate with the reality.
Yeah. I've talked at length about, like, one of the things that always feels off to me in television shows is when people have, like, spontaneous moments or confessions to people where they tell them like, oh, I really care about you, to a friend, like in a moment that's not heightened, where it's just like people really connecting. As real as that may be in like a heightened situation, I always imagine like doing that in the real world, and you don't really do that. People tend to be more awkward or more closed off than that. Mm-hmm. So it's like when you're watching it, it makes you emote as you're watching it, and you really feel what you're seeing there, but you realize that's not what the real world is when you're watching it.
What's an example?
I would have to think.
What
more.
Specifically you're saying when like two guys are like, "I love you, man," and they hug?
But a lot of times it's just general conversations that people have.
That's just what it takes to dramatize TV shows.
When they're really connecting in a way that's supposed to be highly emotive, it never comes off as authentic, but it does come off as entertaining. Mm-hmm. That's fun.
The music swells. Like there's no music swelling in real life when we're
Wouldn't
like,
that be
I love
nice?
you, man.
Like, I love you, man. And then you like hit your
and
iPod
the music turns on.
You turn your phone on as you go to hug them so that the music plays behind you.
You hear like,
in the case of Love is Blind, which I have watched like multiple seasons.
Oh my gosh.
I'll admit.
You have?
I didn't tell you that because I wanted to reveal it on air.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Dane will be very happy to hear that there is a reality TV show that you do watch that's not just Survivor.
Well, I watched Love Island too, and it's kind of like a similar situation where you have to like pair up to stay on the show. And Love is Blind, the premise is basically that you have to marry a person that you've never seen and you've only talked to them through a screen.
You would need alcohol and augmented judgment to be able to do that.
In many of those scenes where they're talking to each other, through this divider, that you see a glass of wine in their hand or whatever, like, of course.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of an expected thing. So I was kind of surprised that this guy didn't foresee this, or he thought it was unfair because, like, you're certainly not forced to drink.
So they don't make you drink, but they're like, hey, but you can.
They provide alcohol if you
water.
So please to have it.
We can't give you water, but how about a glass of wine?
That's what they did in the Middle Ages because the water was tainted. They couldn't get clean water, so they drank ale.
Oh yeah, and they also mixed wine with water a lot in antiquity.
I knew a kid who would he never liked to mix his whiskey, but he liked to drink it straight, but he didn't like it straight either. So he'd put water. He'd literally water it down.
I'm talking
I was
about.
like, that should be punishable by law.
That's turn water to wine.
Gross.
I think that's when they said Jesus turned water to wine, that he was just watering it down and then giving it to everybody. Like, there's 100 people. Well, then I'll took one glass of wine, I'll put water in it and give it to 2 people. Put water in both of theirs, give it to 4 people. Water in all of theirs, give it to 8 people. And he was able to give everybody a little bit.
There you go.
Disagree.
Yeah. Who knows?
Debate.
No, we won't.
Okay.
This is the channel for it.
Totally the right time and place.
Yes, for theological. Yeah, we should do that.
Anyways, Love is Blind. This guy, Jeremy, said being on the show left him sleep deprived, socially isolated, and mentally drained. And he had only what he can describe as an out-of-body experience. He said, I would hear myself saying things that were contrary to what I was thinking at the time. After the production, I felt and looked like a zombie for days.
You want to think
You
about
went
like,
on a reality show where you have to marry someone after a week.
I'm picturing the CIA like, yes, we could
He
learn
got
from
taken.
this.
He got taken off the show because he didn't find someone to marry
They
after
actually
1
have
week.
to, like, legally get married?
Yes. And like
Dude.
people follow these people after the show is over, after that season is over, and see whether they stay together. They are legal marriages. So they get legal divorces a lot, obviously.
I'm literally picturing the CIA like looking for tips on like how to manipulate people.
Yeah.
It
this
is
like-
kind of funny how often it works out for them, though.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, like
How-
not most, but definitely at least 1 or 2.
Do you think that there's like
per season?
cynically? Do you think that there's like do they get like a bonus for staying married together for a certain period of time?
Oh, I hope so.
Do you think
Maybe. I mean,
there's
they get
financial
social
ins-
media followings, and then they get money from that.
It's a business. It's a business. I mean, this is one of those things. Whenever we talk about, I mean, I don't really care about the Kardashians, but people love talking about the Kardashians in the shows. Like, I wonder if Pete Davidson is going to be on the Kardashians. Like, it's not real, right? The fact that he has to sign a contract just before entering that place proves to you how fake it is.
Well, I'm sure they do script a lot, but not everything.
But beyond that, I mean, just even here, even when doing the vlog, or you know, when it was more daily stuff, when you're just experiencing, your perception and your behavior does change ever so. You know, a good actor maybe ever so slightly, but the average person, their behavior changes when there's a camera on.
You got to. I mean, otherwise your back is turned to the camera and you're talking real quiet, and
Yeah.
the camera can't pick it up. So you got to be aware that there's a camera. You're always working with the camera in some way.
And you have to elevate your voice.
But I think, like, for instance, our vlog is a lot more transparently
yes.
scripted, or, you know, not just real life events.
But before,
whereas
it
with
was-
a reality show, it's the point of it is to kind of make you buy into it.
Yeah.
And this doesn't make sense to me, because like I, after reading this article, would totally go on Love is Blind.
Oh, I
like
bet.
it does not sound bad at all. I get paid $1,000 a week to just sit around and like chat with strangers through a screen and drink wine.
Well, he
like that
talks-
sounds fun.
do they meet, or is it all?
They meet if they decide to get married. Like they meet the first time that like the dude proposes.
Wow.
They like get the screens like lifted, and then they walk towards each other, and then he proposes.
Oh my god.
The only
Yep.
drinks that defendants regularly provided to the cast were alcoholic beverages, soft drinks, energy drinks, and mixers. Hydrating drinks such as water were strictly limited but into the cast during the day. So, I mean, the strictly limited part is kind of
That sounds
nefarious.
a little weird. I
That,
don't
like,
know.
saying, like, yes, you can have water as long as you have it between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. And it says...
Also, like, I hate to point out the obvious, but you have like sinks around there, like a faucet where you can just get a cup and fill it with water.
no cups were provided. You had to put your face under the sink, and yeah. So the combination of sleep deprivation, isolation, lack of food, and excess of alcohol, all either required, enabled, or encouraged by defendants, contributed to inhumane working conditions.
This sounds like a vacation,
Otherwise, a weekend at the Jersey Shore.
right?
Which,
This is also just representative of how all reality shows work. You get underpaid to sit around drinking alcohol and making drama.
Yep.
That's what it is.
they,
Especially Love Island.
they canceled the Jersey Shore reboot.
No, why?
Well, the stars like were basically like they felt like they were being taken advantage of. They've got high
Probably
profile.
were.
They've got high profiles now. You can't bring in like people who made their names. Like everybody's heard the name Snooki, even if you like
JWoww.
I don't remember Jay.
Mike, the situation.
The situation I remember, but like it's really funny. Somebody posted a picture of him that said, "Isn't it funny how all the women have updated their styles and the men all look exactly the same?"
I love
like
it.
because like the men like grew into their hair because like that haircut is like now semi-popular, or at least was a couple of years ago. So the men all like
who was the other ones? It was like Joe the Unit, or like who was the Unit?
the situation's the only one I remember.
The situation.
I had that up here. I wonder if it's
Johnny the Unit.
Johnny the Unit.
Manfred.
yeah. So they canceled Jersey Shore season 2. So I guess we're gonna have to go back
What
to
a
Love
tragedy.
Is,
More
hopefully,
naked and afraid.
Question: would either of you go on Love Is Blind?
Not at this stage of my life. There was a time when I thought about doing reality TV. People asked me,
That would've been
do you
so
want to do
funny.
porn? When I got to LA the first week, I was at the grocery store and the guy was like, you ever do porn? You want to do porn? I was
Just
like, I don't
casually
think so.
asking.
Yeah. But it was like kind of scandalous 2007 how it started to come out that reality TV was fake. We kind of knew like Big Brother and Survivor.
Rules.
They were all that
Remember
they
Road
were
Rules?
that they would tell them. But I remember it, but I never watched it.
long time ago.
And then it was like, what? The producers tell them to say certain things? This is incredible. Who knew? And then I was
Like
like,
the
well, I'm
OC.
never doing it now. If I
the
now
OC
that I know
was not
that.
a reality TV
But I
show.
thought about turning my life into a reality show at one point.
Oh, what was I thinking of?
You could have a Laguna Beach.
Yeah.
Yes, you could have a fantastic reality TV.
Yeah,
show.
but it would just be me playing video games, and I was like, it's not that interesting. I'm not gonna.
Everyone
sell out.
thinks their life is that interesting until you actually like do
No,
like
you're actually an actor, and Ian is just a role that you play.
Come on, people don't know that.
So it says, unfortunately for Mr. Hartwell, his journey ended early after he failed to develop a significant connection with any other participant. Maybe he's just
Sounds like he's
mad.
just bitter,
He's bitter.
yeah.
He's like, I got all this
At
alcohol
least
in me.
that is totally what they were trying to imply. Like, he's just suing us because he didn't find a date. That is the tone of their statement.
Defendants were encouraged to consume alcohol throughout the entire day and were plied with an unlimited amount of alcohol without meaningful or regular access to appropriate food and water to moderate their inevitable drunkenness. It feels like there's like OSHA violations just waiting to be had.
Well, they mentioned like that reality shows abuse their ability to say that their contestants are independent contractors.
Yep.
But like, I don't know how that works. Is that actually fraudulent?
I don't know. I mean,
Because they're certainly not like normal salaried workers.
WWE is the same way. They're all under all the wrestlers are under contract, but they're all considered independent contractors, so they have to pay their own health insurance.
Oh, wow.
It's really funny.
They also said that the contestants were under extreme pressure to stay on the show and not breach contract because they would have to pay, according to their contract, $50,000 in liquidated damages.
And Mary's just like, I'm being forced to sit here and drink wine and talk to
No.
people. What will I do?
Whatever shall I do?
Were they like in their own houses, just like video chatting from
No,
afar?
they had a hotel room. All of the contestants had a hotel room, and they also allegedly had their key cards taken away.
Oh my gosh!
So that they couldn't get sufficient sleep.
I wonder if it was in the contract before they signed up. Any of that stuff.
It must have been, right?
It would have to be.
Like you're not going to get access
But
to
they
this
said
and that.
he alleges the contestants were paid a flat rate of $1,000 per week while forced to work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, which totals to roughly $7.14 an hour, which is far below the $15 minimum wage required in the state of California.
But they're contractors, so. But I don't know if that matters.
I don't know. Well, it couldn't be California, right? Because California has that independent contractor rule for companies.
Yeah, I think so.
So I wouldn't want to work for. I would never go on. I can barely. I have to like prime myself up to be me, let alone drunk me.
But some people would think it removes a lot of pressure to have the screen in between you.
But I also can't drink alcohol, so I wouldn't be allowed to be on the show.
Well, you could. You just wouldn't have anything to drink.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
They're acting
A dry
like they're
fast.
forced to drink.
Yeah, okay, you're not forced to drink. Okay,
You're also not forced to like drink too much either. It sounds like this guy just said
Stress.
things that embarrassed him because he was drunk.
Super chats.
Let's get into it.
Get into it.
Bad App said, I don't think my father, the inventor of the toaster strudel, would be too pleased about this. If you know, you know.
There, to go up a little bit farther, there's one from Jim. There's a couple from
Oh,
Jimbo. There's
Jimbo.
Jimbo up there.
Said, I feel like Ian would be a warlock or druid. He uses graphene to summon a magnetic vibration elemental or something.
Druid, dude. And when I played World of Warcraft, I was drawn to the druid. Perfect. I played a druid.
Caper2X said, really, did they ever see Naked and Afraid?
I never saw. Naked.
I love that
I
show.
didn't.
That's a good one. Although I think there is some fakeness, but it's two people, usually a guy and a girl, get dropped into like the jungle naked, and they each get a tool of some sort. Like the girl will have some twine, and the guy will have like a box cutter, and then they'll have to get out of the jungle together.
There's the great meme of like it's like a guy surviving. It's like a guy starving on a reality TV show, and then it's got a cameraman eating a sandwich.
That'd be great, like a show called Starvation. And it's just
A lot of
person
the
in a
stress
room
of
not
being on
eating.
something like Survivor is removed when you can literally quit anytime you want.
I have a friend that won Survivor one year. Judd Burza.
Oh,
he was
cool.
Fabio. Was this character on Survivor?
You need to tell Dane
Dane
about
know
this
this?
because he will
I think he
fanboy.
might. I'll tell him again if
Dane loves
Dane.
He's
Survivor.
obsessed with
Yeah,
it.
Judd's awesome. He'd be a great guest on the show someday too. If you ever
Judd.
want to come out,
We could have him talk about
Yeah.
whether they plied him with alcohol and tried to get him to get hitched on air.
Moongoon7 said, I love Ian. Rolling 20s all day on here and on IRL.
Holla
Yes.
back. Holla back.
Gold Mecro said, all the fake milestones and stuff.
Diversity, equity, and
diversity stuff is still millennials. Even gay rights, millennials just tagged on to the end of a pre-existing movement. We've accomplished very little as a generation.
Man, I
think
watched
so?
a
Don't
really
be too hard on yourself, my man.
I watched a really great video the other day about like
Thank you.
why Gen X is so awesome, and it's basically like because we didn't give a crap, and we're like Gen X is just very like they just exist.
Gen
and
X
they're-
is kind of a flyover.
I love Gen X.
Generation.
Yeah, I'm the last year of X.
Is it 79?
79.
My brother was born in 79.
We didn't
so-
have the internet, which was a big part of it. When I was like 9, there was no internet. I'd have to ride my bike to the video arcade to play Street Fighter 2 on the arcade machine. I have to be back by 6:30 or I'm going to get grounded. There's no phones. Like,
How quaint.
I mean, most of my childhood was like that too, but that's because we were poor.
so you had to kind of find things to get creative. We used to play a game called Adventure, me and Max, my brother, where I'd be like, look out, they're coming. And we'd like run and we'd dive and pretend like stuff was happening, which I think is some of it's that maybe not completely lost on like people nowadays because you have access to entertainment at all times. You don't need to pretend anymore. It's there for you. You have games, you have movies. So we had to make it up. Now I'm still making it up.
I
That was a
definitely
creative-
was looking at screens too often as a kid, but also like the internet wasn't the same as it is now, and
Yeah.
tablets weren't around until I was like 8, 9, 10.
You're so young.
But the X also got the internet when we were like 10 and 12, so we got the awesomeness of it too. So we're not totally oblivious like a lot of people
Early
in the
internet,
70s
too.
are kind of like, what's happening in reality right now? I don't understand. You're
How
like,
do I
well,
log into that internet thing?
Yeah, what is video code?
Bad App said, I'd couple up with Brett on Love Island.
That would have to be a very special episode.
I enjoy Love Island because the narrator is just extremely Scottish and you can barely understand what they're saying.
There was when we saw Uncharted, there was the character that was like Irish or Scottish, and the whole joke was that you couldn't understand what he was saying. Super mean, like Tom Holland's like the guy's talking, and Tom Holland's like, "What? I literally have no idea what you're talking about."
What show?
It was the Uncharted movie, the movie about the game Uncharted.
Okay.
Caper2X said, remember this, you can last 3 days without water and 21 days without food. These whiners are pickers. Wait, Mary watches reality TV? Say it's not so, Brett.
Say it so.
Say it no so?
I mean, I buy it.
Well,
buy it.
I think I have admitted that to you before.
I mean,
right?
you are obsessed with the early 2000s, and what
the
was
early
more early 2000s
and
than reality
drama.
TV?
What's
Low
your-
stakes drama.
What's your favorite reality show of all time?
Catfish was really good.
Oh my god! Of course.
I don't know. I mean, Project Runway was also really good back in the day.
It sure was. I used to watch that in
So
like
good.
2007. That era.
Yes.
That was a great show.
We probably watched the same.
I learned a lot about design. That was one of the coolest things. Is you
Yeah.
can learn a lot from watching, especially the competition ones. I was a big fan of like Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, I loved Hell's Kitchen too. Like reality TV has really fallen off, I think.
There's just
like-
too much of it.
It's
now.
a lot about the host. If the host is a really smart, like compassionate person, then they get like Joe Rogan's Fear Factor.
I was
a
say,
big
have you
fan
ever
of Fear
heard
Factor.
Rogan talk about Fear Factor? It's hilarious.
It's so funny,
Yeah.
but he was really inspirational, and he would give people confidence. People in their most afraid moments, he'd be like, "You can do it," and then they would do it, and you're like, "Wow, wow."
We need more Joes.
We need
Motivational.
dynamic hosts.
All right.
Visceral Visuals said Soul Match is on our channel. We produced it with Chase Gamwell, and yes, it is a dating app, but not
Oh.
just any dating app.
Okay.
That's interesting. I actually was
Thank you.
just seeing maybe I'm like exposing myself as being an internet stalker, but I was looking at Brett Cooper's following list, and one of them is a dating app, and it might I don't know if
Wait.
it was this one or a different one.
Wait, her like who follows her or who she
she
follows? It's always
follows?
more interesting like who you can when you look at who they follow.
It's who she follows, and it didn't have many followers yet, the dating app account, but
Maybe
maybe-
she's investing in it.
I don't remember the name now. If it was this one, that's
Stalking
interesting.
Brick, was that after me and you were talking about her on Michaela Peterson?
Must have been.
Yeah.
I want to see like all of the accounts she follows. Bad App said, I don't. Oh wait, no, I read that one.
Yep.
Um,
I didn't get the reference. Was that a reference?
yeah, it was a reference to Mean Girls. Did you watch it?
Not in a long time.
Good movie.
Bad App said, Ian looks like he'd be on Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, it'd be funny. There was a guy.
Is that true?
Was it Naked and Afraid? Yeah, there was a guy in Naked and Afraid that reminded me of myself. He didn't eat animals. He would only eat he ate bugs and stuff.
What?
But he like exerted very little energy and consumed very little, so people liked him because he
He
didn't
would
like.
just sit around.
Yeah, I
eat
think he would
bugs.
do he'd like carve wood and make fires and stuff. He was very worked at the camp. He didn't go out and do stuff.
Could
Yeah,
have done
he's
that
not a
earlier.
drain on resources.
Right,
that
exactly.
way.
Mary-
I see what you mean.
Mary was there was a wasp up here earlier that made that
was like,
Mary ran very fast out the studio until Andrew came up and took
Killed
care of
it.
it.
Those insects sense your fear.
Yep.
They do.
They also smell if you have food on your shirt and they'll land on it. But don't be afraid. They're just looking for
They're
food.
just looking for
I
food.
hope I don't have any.
Yeah.
Caleb Sherd said, all my favorite Timcast people on one podcast. This is awesome. Love your opinions on Timcast, Ian.
Oh, Caleb, nice. Love you, man.
Bobby said, I miss Survivor Man. Just Les Stroud and a camera. I think he had a Bigfoot encounter once or twice. No script, just nature.
Do you guys watch the any of like the ghost hunting shows?
Only I catch him in the peripheral.
Yeah, I've lately, as somebody who loves movies, loves television, loves certain genres, have found myself pushing away from it and going into more like HGTV and like historical the castles of Britain and stuff like that. Literally something where I can put it on.
It's
and
like lo-fi, but
I remember
documentary.
nothing of what I'm watching. I just know that I feel very calm when I watch it, and that's what it's all about.
I would like a realistic ghost hunting movie, where you get these. I was talking to Jeremy Riss, the alien scientist. He's got a YouTube channel. He's a brilliant man, and he was talking about military grade technology you can use to scour the EM band of frequency to actually try and triangulate disruptions in the field and stuff. That'd be cool.
That'd
to
be
get some
cool.
super sensitive materials.
Get some stuff with Shane Cashman and
Yeah.
move
Yeah.
into. I mean, there's money to be made there, my friends.
It's challenging. There's a lot of interference, but if you could somehow isolate vibration on a local level and see if the walls actually are making sounds of some sort.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.